Uh, this is mainly about the boxes for tomorrow. First of all, I'd like to explain that the taxes just came in, and it looks like about 8,000 again. And then the bills for the month is probably up around a couple of thousand. So that's going to be, yeah, that's fine. Just to mention it, so uh, if Brother Ayub come, I will mention for him that he could stay here tomorrow. We could go out to. You think you could get the other brother to go out?
I guess depends on the spot.
No, we could go. We could go. This is remember we said we would go over to the other spots once a month.
Yeah, they probably would be okay with that.
So yeah, we'll go right on over there. We'll go right on over to what's the name once a month, and then. But eventually we'll start going little distances, and maybe next week we'll go back out to the other place. But we'll start going around other places. But at least, at minimum, every night during Ramadan we go in somewhere with specific flyers for whenever they finish up Taraweeh, we'll do it, and we'll go like that, because the period we in is to me it's a wonderful period. I have never felt technically. I don't want to do this, but every time I do it, boss man do something to mess it up. But I have been feeling very enthusiastic, and I have never. They say as you get older, the better life becomes. Well, that's definitely not only older but clearer. All the things that we're involved in. When other people look at it, they might think that's, oh my God, that's bad. But I look at it like what we're doing, we would consider it, as we talked before, strategic brilliance. I mean, look, if you were to take into account words we use like, of course, studying the movement, we saw right away that people didn't have enough time to get things together. You know what I mean? I mean, the movement, if you say the movement kicked off, exploded, our part of the movement. If you take Freedom Ride 61, 62, the downtown there, Martin Luther King, I Had a Dream, 63. If you take all that account, that's one thing. But if you take the technical black nationalist movement, you would have to be dealing around 65 or 66. That means that we lasted 5 years, 65 to 70. By 71, when I left the country, the movement was finished. I mean, the rhetoric was there, the costumes were still there, all that was still there, but the movement, the guts of the movement, the Caucasian fell in on this boy, and we didn't have no experience. He just ripped the guts out of us, just like that. But now, when I got overseas and I began to study a little bit, that's why when I picked up on protracted struggle, a long-range struggle, you know what I mean? And when I picked up on that, I said, that's something I noticed all the movements overseas. They wasn't instant movements where they pop right up and then boom, they finished. Or they had an environment where guerrilla armies, you had places to hide. Whereas in America, you wasn't going, if you wanted to see a Negro looking funny, is have him out in the woods, out in the mountains somewhere, right? I mean, he could be out in the woods down in Dixie. A lot of people stayed out in the woods, but the sheriff and them was always making their rounds, and anybody from outside of that area, anybody outside of they Negroes, they're gonna show up. And anybody inside, they got and then they got so many snitches that it was impossible. Technically, we didn't do that bad, but we didn't have enough time. Longevity, protractedness. And that's why we use strategic brilliance. Strategic imagination, strategic location. If you take D.C. and you take Oakland, I don't look at it, we don't look at it the way they look at it, or the way some of the participants. It's been a masterstroke. It's been a masterstroke. However they look at it, hey, we have done a masterful job here in the United States. And we've stayed on focus. See, what happens over a long period of time, you get a chance to work the bugs out of yourself. Yeah, you get a chance to work the bugs out of yourself. You get a chance to develop, like to develop what you need. You might have an idea that you're going to need to be, have a certain characteristics and abilities, but you might realize it, but until you try it and test it, you don't get a chance to develop those characteristics. And that's what this longevity has done. It's done so well that I believe the attitude that we've maintained have really helped us a lot. Now, other people looking out, they won't see it. They'll say, man, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. Well, that's because of you. But we are happy with what happened. What's been happening to us is perfect. That's what shaped and molded you. Yeah, you get shaped and molded, and pretty soon, you know, this over 50-year cycle, if you're grown 50 years ago and you almost passed the first big test 50 years ago, hey, oh, definitely, no doubt about it. Yeah, shoot, 50 years ago, I was back from, I was overseas still. I was down in South America. I sure was. Doing very well and learning a lot. System domestication. When we look at our people, man, they just run circles around us. They haven't run them around us, we run them around them. No matter what anybody think, we have domesticated boss man. Yes, we have. We've domesticated boss man. A lot of it coming from what they call quantum leap, quantum jumping. We talk about risk. The greatest foe of black humanity. Yeah, man. For us, is to leave our life and our future and our children's future in the hands of those people. I mean, we just talked about when you look at what's going on right now, everything that we talked about a few days ago, everybody's talking about it. You know, especially when you look at other news like Indian news and all of that, they and then the things that they have done already. The common citizens begins to say, well, oh, they didn't mind people, those Arabs and other people and Africans coming across on those rafts across the Mediterranean. And I remember the little boy that washed up there's a picture of a little boy, I would say 2 years old, something like that, washed up on the Mediterranean years ago, you know, face down, and people squeeze and stand, and they turn them back, turn them around. But these people, why? For them to open their mouth and say it is wonderful, though. They're white. I mean, and they pushing that. And then the poor Negroes, the African students, oh man. And they call in their embassy. Look, this is a disaster. For them, this is a disaster. And they looking at the little bitty, well, we got this going on. Technically, a lot of lying. They're doing a lot of lying. Number one, we going to put so much sanctions on them, they going to squeeze and holler. They don't have sanction on the oil. And the oil today, what was it, 110, 112, 16? It's up there. That is high. Yeah, and it's high. I mean, and it's not headed down, don't look like it. It goes up and down, but it's constantly going up. I think the highest it got was $147 right now. And then they got the Iran deal going. Okay, Iran's already selling oil. Okay, but they got to think that the oil is not getting around because Russia is still selling oil. See, no, they're just talking like, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do. They're not going to do that. They can't do that because it's still winter in Europe and they can't do it. It's not that they don't want to do it, they can't do it. Okay? And they had to tell, the Europeans had to be told, okay, we're just going to be bluffing most of this, we're going to be bluffing. But the other things that are not written down and not expected, it slips up on them. Like these people have blonde hair and blue eyes. My goodness. They can't be bad. They're inviting them in their homes. They're doing all of this, that, and other. Hey, man. And then the African students, right, today.
Right. They turned them away from the trains or the buses. They turned them away. So,
And they're educated. You got to remember, they're going there for university.
right.
So they're not people that are that come over on a boat, a sailboat to try to get away. They're there studying, and they're gonna go back home. 80% of them will go back home, and they won't. Look, they're talking about Putin made this. It don't make. This thing is so concocted that Putin could make all the mistakes he wants. This thing is already, and now wait till a couple of weeks.
Right.
See, he and others haven't even started to come back. They just running their mouth, the UN running their mouth, and they done paid somebody here. And all of that stuff is just floating out there. And you would think, it's just like the invasion, the Gulf Wars and all that. The first 2 days, you think they won the whole show. everything they've done. They invaded Afghanistan. Oh, blockbusters, bunker busters. You think hey man, the Russians was congratulating, you've done a great job. Because they had just got run out.
Right.
You really pulled it off. They were serious though, telling the U.S. We didn't say that. We said, shh, boy, look at here. I said a lot and tricked y'all behind in there. You done got tricked because it ain't no way out. And they just left last week after 20 years. Wars used to be 6 months, a year. Now, I know Europe a long time ago had the 100 Years' War. That's almost what these wars are. They are long. They so long that people forgot what they was. Look, and then these terrible people, and then even the common people are beginning to say, because all the conscious people are going to say, well, invasion. You invaded Iraq. You're the one talking about the poor, the needy, and all that. What about Yemen right now? Yemen. Why is it your friends can invade and murder and kill anybody, right? You have Saudi Arabia. I mean, you have the United States pumping Syrian oil, and they are starving to death. So that's what strategic brilliance is. Okay, let's say we didn't make this happen, but we're taking some of the credit, like on everything, because it's strategic brilliance where you get people to jump all in, and after they all in where they need to be, you just pull back and watch and start, hey, it's unbelievable. That's what's wrong. See, the U.S. is in trouble already, so it tries to extend itself to get out of the trouble that it's in. The people will be right back in a week or so talking about our own problems we have here. Plus, the inflation is increasing. Can you imagine in the last few days? I mean, wait, hold it. What about yearly inflation or something? No, we don't have that no more. This is like, how about, can you dig daily inflation?
I was up at Giant just yesterday, man. I got knocked upside the head up in there.
It's unbelievable.
It is ridiculous, yeah.
It's unbelievable. So wait a minute, we just paid, because we go a couple of times a week. I take, hey, okay. But it's not only all of that, it's the credibility. And then you take the other people, if you watch China, even India is making good prognostic. Well, India is the best one out of every. India, the generals they have, what they have. The Indians is wearing out the West. They say, no, that accent they have. This is what they're going to do. Da-da-da-da-da. And
You have to start following the Indian news. That was a source I hadn't been following. I was starting.
well, see, in this case, most of the time, the Indian news have, this time, man, there's one lady that's a nice looking lady giving the broadcast, and she's the meanest witch I ever seen in my life. I said witch. This lady is terrible, except the last few days. I didn't know. See, sometimes you don't know where people's head is at till something really happened. And in fact, if you look at the Indian news, they more pro-Russian, which they've always been, because India was the head of the non-aligned nations. Back in the old days, India, Yugoslavia, and a few of them, Tito and Nehru, they were head of what's called non-aligned movement. It was not Eastern nor Western. It was the non-aligned. In other words, they wasn't lined up with Americans. So anyway, remember, this is not a joke, but it would sound like it when other people listen to it. When we talk about a historical tractor beam, you would think that we have one, really, that we done grab boss man, and no matter what he do, he just trying, he got his engines moving a zillion, and he ain't going nowhere because we got him grabbed. And that's the way we feel about it, and that's the way we've been talking about it. What we're saying tonight is not new. We've been here, except what's happened. This invasion put a cap on everything. And also, I don't know if you, Brother Ayub and I watch a lot of that Chinese historical stuff. Oh no, they're wonderful. Because they use our language. And remember, they've been at this for 4,000 or 5,000 years. Give them 4,500 years. Okay. The language that they have been using and the things that they great people went through is exactly what we're going through. What is exactly what all the messengers, remember the hadith say some warners and messengers will come with 2 or 3 people. You know, then it jumps and it say, Musa alayhi salam will come and it covers the you know, then Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will come. These are rare people where it covers the horizon. This Ummah. But you can get it from Quran, you get it from Hadith, that it's very seldom that everybody just said, oh yeah, that's the truth, and they jump on the bandwagon. They don't do that. It's the other way around. And the way the Chinese are doing it is really very good. And they bringing, instead of them getting the Chinese Communist Party getting arrogant, they go back and bringing all their people with them. They bringing all, this is who did this is who did that. So the Communist Party is doing it, but it's the Marxist-Leninism with Chinese characteristics. Okay, that what China did to the U.S. is the harder. America have not been hit that hard and surprised that much in history. The Chinese did it. Oh, no, we're not going to have a Western liberal democracy. We did all of this with Chinese characteristics. And then you're falling apart. Your whole place is going to crap. Why would we follow you guys? You can't look at, in other words, look at us. In 40 years, we went from zero. It's like we standing outside of the building and you can jump about a foot high and they can jump all the way to the top of the building, flat-footed. They said, well, look, this is what we did. We was here 40 years ago, and we jumped on top of the building from right outside, and you can see them up there. Why would we? You got homelessness, you got murder rates, you got fitna everywhere. Why would we want to follow you guys? They don't say that in words because they don't, the Chinese and other people over there don't embarrass each other that much, you know, and they take it really, you know, to have your honor intact, to let people down easy, or to give them a way out. Remember, if they mess up over there, The Japanese is the worst, but the Chinese got it too. They'll commit suicide. They believe in what, hey, like bump all of that. Anybody that will sit there and take a sharp knife and cut their guts out systematically, hey man, they pretty serious about their stuff. But visioneering, off the world, a visible alternative, shape our picture of an ideal future. In other words, other people are doing that. Okay, now right here, just visualize it, that in a few years, we won't be here by ourselves, you and I, just da, 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 da. Or we won't be isolated. We'll be having programs like we did before. The room will be full of people. People we will be paying attention. But Allah allowed us to go through a test so we could be tried and tested before we make a move. So, the Quran says, so Allah will know, but it's not what it means. It means, so you will know. So you will know. So we will know. So everybody involved will know. It's like some of the, not crackpotish people, but some of the people that are around, the world had to see them for what they was. But we had to have the ability to absorb that stuff. And our attitude shows where we was coming from. Yeah. And our attitude right now shows where we're coming from. Why? Because that's the attitude that's going to be needed in the very near future. It's something that we've been headed toward from decades ago, looking at the world, we always talk about anticipating, right? Anticipate, okay, you can see that's what we've been doing. We've been anticipating where the world is headed. We've been talking about climate and all of that for a long time. So there would have to be people that would be using their time to evolve in the environment that we're in. And they would have to be able to take it. They would have to be able to absorb punishment and take it and have the correct attitude of kindness and forgiveness and all of that. They would have to, because imagine you're talking about changing the world. The people that still got the money, they're going to send troop after troop of crackpot after crackpot. And you have to not be doing it because of money and popularity, so you have to be tried with not being popular. Well, we got a house full right now, right? You got to be able to do that and imagine you're saying, man, this is really nice. And when you're there, we'll have it in articles. We have notes and everything. This is a period of writing. This is a period of lecturing. This is a period of guidance, because that's what Allah have given us. And we thank Allah for it. Design our own future conference. That means have a conference where we lay out how you design your own future. In doing that, how we have designed our own future, how we've already done that. We have to offer the world a visible alternative. Yeah, nobody's got nothing. They're not offering anybody anything. Look, this is not only a visible alternative, it's an unmistakable alternative. Utopia is possible. This means a good place, you know. Dystopia is a bad place. That's all. That's simple, right? Ability to dictate terms of participation, historical tactualness, you know, that historical feeling. That's all these things are what we're doing. That we're doing this. Uh, Most of it has been done, but in doing it, we have done and are still doing. Ability to turn off the past and turn on the future. Touchableness, tactual, the feeling for the hour, the feeling for the time, the feeling for the era, the touch of the time, you know. I was just looking at some things fall apart. The center cannot hold. That's one of my favorites from the Tet Offensive, 1968. When they thought they was sending all the messages that Vietnam War is almost over and we're just about ready to wrap it up and come home. And they opened up a nationwide attack on U.S. forces. Technically, they didn't, if you were to look at it technically, they didn't win the physical war, but they won the psychological war. They just, what a nationwide attack. Good God Almighty. You got to remember now, they had 500,000 U.S. troops over there, plus RVN, the Vietnamese troops that they had. Okay. This is one of those, not visionary, one of them. Anyway, if you do what's easy, life is hard. If you do what's hard, life is easy. Hey, man, that's why we say this is easy. And I don't believe that everything that comes has to be easy, because all the things that we've been involved in, nobody has ever had to. Can you imagine? They take your property, they do this, nobody has they would survive 2 weeks of that stuff. And we'll be going right back over, and we might just have a nice rest. Or last night, I got a little thing on the phone. I was watching. They have this thing. Well, I stayed up. I made Fajr, and then I went to bed after that. This morning. I mean, it's this morning because I clicked on the program a few months back. It was about Malcolm X, Bumpy Johnson, and the what's the preacher's name? Adam Clayton Powell. It's about Harlem. It's about the Godfather of Harlem. That TV program. Oh, it's a lie. It's a flat out lie. Because all is not true. There's some things that did happen, but Bumpy Johnson's daughter got, rescued from Jahiliyyah, drug use, and all that by the Nation of Islam, and there's Malcolm. So every episode is those three characters. There's Bumpy Johnson. He's fighting it out with the Italians, and he wins every fight. So it's Bumpy Johnson. Then it's Malcolm X. And these people are not, they got Arabic written outside what was a temple in those days, which they didn't do that. No, they didn't do it. And last night, Bumpy Johnson's daughter, this grown woman, she was making salat. She had a prayer rug. She was making real salat, which they didn't do that. They didn't do that, and so their advisors was not up to par. Anyway, their advisors were from modern times. Right. Anyway, I'm telling you, I said I just watched one of these. Do you ever see the program supposed to be Malcolm X, Bumpy Johnson? What do they call it? The Godfather of Harlem. Okay, last night I'm telling you, I made Fajr this morning, then I went to bed. I mean, and I went to bed when, you peek outside and you can see a little bit of light. I said, I better pray and go on. So I watched about 6 episodes, and it's not true at all because it make Martin Luther King, it make Bumpy Johnson, Malcolm X, and Adam Clayton Powell like they run together. Every series those are the three main. Sometimes it focus more on Malcolm, but they usually get about equal time. So I guess it's an hour program. So, but it's watchable. Remember, I was trying to figure something to watch. I couldn't watch that stuff. Remember, I said I can't even watch it. But this, as Negroes plus, you could sit there and say, well, because if you was in the federal prison and all, you know the words about what was going on. If I was in a nation too, they do have little bits about Bumpy Johnson's daughter was supposed to have been a dope fiend, and she joined the nation, and then the lamb come by and saw her when he was visiting from Chicago and told her, "Oh, you come and see me in Chicago." So she came back, and then she told Malcolm later that they don't like you there, and he sent me back here to spy on you, and that it's supposed to be 63 right now. So this is 63. But anyway, the point is this. We have really, this is not arrogance saying we, but you have to keep score. You got to know what the score of the game is. If you're in a game, you have to have an idea about what's the score. You definitely who's coming up next, right? If you're the pitcher, you're gonna have to know, so you can throw what you're gonna throw, right? If this guy can hit real good, you start going way back. You know how the backfield move. They move back because this guy here, he hits home runs. Okay, so then the guy that's batting, he done looked around and he said, well, if I hit me a line drive right through there, I can get a second base. You know what I mean? So the pitcher throw him something that he can whack, and you can't catch it because it's coming to this a line drive, right? So anyway, this is like the life we live. This is our life. This is what we do. And I believe we've been very, very successful. I don't believe there's been anybody in history from amongst our people, amongst anybody. Now this gets to sound arrogant, but you still have to know the score. No white people, no organization, no group have kept a high level of honesty and sincerity and have dealt in a protracted way, or the way we've dealt with over a long period of time. Remember, if we talk about recent times, we're still going back 50 years. This Negro called me. I was in Starbucks, with my daughters getting some coffee. On my 75th birthday, he called, and you know who this is? I said, no. The last time we saw each other, we was at the train station in Hamburg or something. So yeah, I remember that very well. 1971. That's right. That was 1971, getting ready to be New Year's. We just came from visiting your parents who was in the military in K-Town, Kaiserslautern. And it was a Volkswagen bus we was driving. I'd bought while I was over there. I never put no oil in it, and I blew it up on the Autobahn. Because the Autobahn, you can drive fast as you want. And I don't have any oil in anything. I blew it up. Somebody came by, take us to the, I had tons of luggage. When I got there, people stole the luggage. He wanted to stay there. He's the one that pointed the people out to steal the luggage. I already knew that. I went back to Denmark, waved everybody goodbye, and I came on over here, stopped in Mexico, then went on down to South America, Peru, then I went to Bolivia, then I came back up to Colombia, and that's where home was. And, anyway, that was 50 years ago. Good God Almighty. And why is he calling me and he don't know nothing? Don't you remember we used to call you Leroy? I said, this nigga is lying. It's crazy. Because that's my brother's name, but he played baseball and he had Roy on his passport. And not Leroy. Because my brother was kind of modern. He liked white folks, and Leroy sounded a little colored, He didn't like it. So he had Roy on his passport. Yeah, he had Roy on his passport. And of course, I used his passport. And the people used to refer to me up there in Denmark. We were up there in Denmark as a retired gangster. I was 26 years old. Well, they was young too, but anyway. Things fall apart. We talked about that. Visioneering, like engineering, visioneering. Expectation, anticipation. We've been doing that with a high level of expertise. We're not doing a bad job. We're doing the best job. After studying our movements, we're doing the best job. And right now, we're right in the process of expanding. And imagine, right now, we got no income at all. The taxes just came, and so that'll be around $800. This much stuff will be about $2,000. And who cares? We're going to take care of it. And it ain't like before, because, man, let me see, management, leadership principle. You got to have money, right? Well, guess what? We'll get the money. We'll get the money. We'll just go out tomorrow and go out whenever we go out, and we'll get the money. And we'll sue them. Look, I'm just going to say it like it is. I have never felt this relaxed in my life. Never, never, never. None of the earlier years, they might have looked better. Them big pretty cars and all that, that was insanity. That was not the good part. This is the good part. And I'm just sitting here just overwhelmed. I decided to forgive everyone for being themselves. That's a part of the growth. No, just forgive everybody for being themselves. My sons wanted to do something to somebody. I said, you'd have to do it to yourself first. Y'all been crookeder than them other people. And plus, hey, you would actually kill a nigga for being a nigga, right? That's what they do. If we were gangsters like I said, we're not like in a gangster movie where you make a mistake and you get, it, it, all mistakes are permanent and you have to know what you're doing. You can't, if you mess up $50,000, you was had to be trying to do it. And it didn't make any difference. Where's the $50,000? Bam! That's what people would do, right? This is the rule. Suppose we did that. We wouldn't be nowhere, we wouldn't have nothing, and we would be what it do to you as a person. Look, I know we pulled through this one. You know why? Because I know what our attitude is. It's wonderful. That's the win. If we would have been like they wanted, like if they assault you, if they take your money, and they do this, that, and another. I remember, and my sons remember it, my whole family remembered it very well back there. They used to fly the helicopter. I had a big house up there in the hills. They used to fly the helicopter. It would feel like 25 feet above my house. The house would be shaking. And it just run everybody paranoid. And it had me mad. They know what they're doing. They can do that. They can send a helicopter, a buzzard ship, but it doesn't make any difference. That was for a reason. That was for a reason. We know the transition periods, the transitional method, and hey, this is unbelievable. So that's why I say we decided to forgive everyone for being themselves. We forgive you for being yourself. Why, you're just Negroes. Well, suppose we killed Negroes for being Negroes. I was telling my sons, it wouldn't be nobody, like who would be alive? If you killed a Negro for acting like a Negro, finished. And then you do something to somebody, it leaves a little stain, a little smell, a little spot on your heart. And the more you do that, pretty soon, you're not a friendly guy anymore. Fiqh of clarification. Fiqh of unconventional warfare. The fiqh of unconventional. Remember, the things that we will write about and expound on in the near future is this stuff here. The fiqh of unconventional warfare. Yeah, and that's what we're going to call it. Fiqh of clarification. Fiqh of unconventional warfare. That's what we've been fighting. And we're winning big. I don't know any victory they have is a temporary, laughable victory. You know, the way Allah trick them to think that they winning, like Allah did them in the Gulf War in 2003. Was that March 3rd? No, it was March 20th when they invaded Iraq. It was March 20th, wasn't it? Something like that. Yeah, it was March 20th. They just invaded Iraq, and the second go around, third go around for killing thousands of people. And hey, what's all right? Domestication of the system. Cost to the system. Any momentum, any focus taken at this end will be returned at the other end. Whatever they do to us is our feeling. Whatever the system, if they have cars parked all around here and they don't run, it doesn't make a difference. We'll get it at the other end 10 or 15 fold, right? It's obvious what it is. So we're not going to lose any sleep. We don't lose any sleep. Arab Spring, that went by. I'll try to speed up. Character. Character. How you handle adversity. We introduce ourselves to others via our character. You introduce yourself to people by your character. It's like an introduction. And your behavior. How we handle adversity. It illuminates your character. Channel paranoia. Directed paranoia. Selected paranoia. How to use it, to study it for effect. It's like Bill Clinton said, just because you're paranoid don't mean they're not after you. You know, he was talking about the Republicans all. He said, just because you're paranoid don't mean they're not, no, don't mean they're not out to get you. Right? This is important. Not only about paranoia, how to use it, how to study it for effect. Use pain. Focus on pain. Functional pain. Self-pain. Monitoring pain in order to use pain properly. Nobody does that. They don't do it. They want to move toward comfort, and Freud and them, right? And they don't want to be in pain. They want to be away from pain, and they want to get pleasure, right? Get absorbed in pleasure and avoid pain. In the West, that's the whole life, to move toward pleasure and to avoid pain. I don't want no pain. Ours is different. Manage pain. We have to manage it because otherwise we wouldn't do this stuff. There's no benefit in it unless it's a purpose, right? I'm telling you. Strategic laboratory of pain. Study pain. Embrace pain. Era of extreme discipline. And focus, of course. The same war, different battles. Expect, anticipate, of course, As-Sabiqun, da-da-da-da-da. Look. Strategic laboratory of pain. Everything they do, it should cause pain. It don't cause pain. Remember, we went over to the house down there, and the place had this much water down there, right? That thing been running. It had icicles all on the outside. Look, the water been running for, I don't know, a zillion years. Well, technically, it was running since the 28th of January or something. 28th, something like that. So it ran for a long time. They haven't even sent the bill yet. We don't care because we're going to go right down and use it as a platform to have fun with. And we'll go cut it off. It's just water. We'll run a hose over there, right up there, up through the window with a cut off on it. And whenever we need water in there, we just leave a crack in the door and the hose on. So tons of hoses right out there. The nozzles are laying around. Yeah. And we'll get more hot water there than the hot water heater wasn't even on down there. Yeah, so what? Forget it. Okay. We talked about strategic laboratory of pain. Study pain. Embrace pain. Nobody's going to do that. We already know they're not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. Because the human being is kind of hooked up to move toward pleasure and to avoid pain. That's what. Maintain an attitude of optimism, study to see how far they say we have come. This is the season for writing, for writing, that's right. And I have No llores por mí, Oakland. Don't cry for me, Oakland, from that song, Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. I kind of like that song. It's about that the lady down in South America that got cancer. Huh? That's her. Uh, Actually, she was a good lady. She was really for the poor. And they had wrote on the wall, Viva Cancer, her enemies. And they had her body lying in state for decades, still might be. And people came, you know, and the guard opened up the thing, got in it, and I mean, her body had been in there for years. And he had sex with the lady. I mean, she was that important. But now, when I was down there, Juan Perón came back. He came back in the early 70s. Yeah, the wife had been gone. She died in 51 or 50 sometime. But he got another wife, and she was fine too. And so, but he died in 74. He wasn't no teenager by that time anyway. But no llores por mí, Oakland. Don't cry for me, Oakland. Hey, man, that's a beautiful experience. And here is even more beautiful. Explain evolution. This is the phase, East Oakland Enterprises, all those phases, plus the necessity of evolution. Those who lead the way and those who show the way. I'll move toward a close, but here we talk about climate of insanity, tafweed, and ridha. The climate we're living in right now is open climate of insanity. And insanity traps the people. This latest thing we was talking about before you came in Ukraine, how people are, they're just telling the African students, you're bad and you can't come. And then the people will say, why, they have blonde hair. And I said, these people are so stupid. It's so stupid. And they say that stuff. And everybody hear them, and they're not paying attention. They're not paying attention that the world is looking. They don't even pay attention to what they're saying. Because some of them are news type people. And it just slips up on them. Well, these are not those kind of people. Mainly, they're not Arabs. And now these people who are studying here, they have to be bright and they have to have money to come over here. Da-da-da-da-da. But we don't want them here. And they saying, niggas, no niggas allowed. No, we just don't want you coming in. We don't, Education, so what? You're studying at the Ukrainian Institute of Technology, so what? Back of the bus for you, Mr. Negro. And it's evident, it's just like, look, it doesn't make no difference what happened. They've already blown it. They've lost it. They can't come back from now. I believe dear Putin is going to charge him for those things. And all these, what we was talking about before, these embargoes, everything's embargoes except oil and heating oil. And oil is $110 or something like that a barrel, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's say 106. But the oil is, and see, the high oil prices, who does it help? Our friends. Right? It just helps our friends. Just okay. even when they taking Syria's oil, still with oil that high, it helps a little bit. Like if they only getting 10% of their own oil, it still helps. At 100 and something a barrel, and Saudi is spending all their money on weapons, and everybody is talking about the weapons industry. You see, this is worse than the first bring of the second. This is worse than when they invaded Iraq and when they invaded Afghanistan. Afghanistan was the first setup. Oh, the Russians got run. The Russians was congratulating the Americans. Oh my, you guys did such a good job. That's 2002, 2003. Oh, you just came over here and blocker busted these people and just run them crazy. That was the trick. To make them feel good for a minute, then, let's go on in Iraq. They went on in Iraq. And the lies they tell is everybody know Abu Ghraib, everybody know weapons of mass destruction. Everybody knows it and they remember it. And they will sit right there and say, no, we're for freedom. And everybody is saying, and the bums that they pay to go along with it, like Kenya or somebody, they're going to say, you a dummy, man. What? You went along with that. And some of your students is over in Ukraine and they say, you niggas got to go. What is wrong with, that's what everybody else going to say. We don't have to say it. We was talking earlier, even dear India, who's wrong about everything, is right. You ever see any of the Indian news? Yeah. And even the lady used to be so mean. I hate that lady. Today I don't hate her. I don't hate her today. And there's two or three of them, and them retired generals and all of that. Boy, they rolling out. Look at here. They said, oh, you know how they talk. And this is a strategic trap, and da-da-da-da-da. And that's now. Wait a month from now. After all, they don't, see, they go, to them, everything is instant. If we need instant money, like, we can't have a long-range plan because we got to go by quarters. Okay, they can't, a Belton Road, you can spend all that money on a highway and all that, and they'll name that highway after Johnny Johnson or somebody, because I'll be gone from the Senate after they build, so they can't do it. They got to get something now for people, right? Therefore, they can't do anything long range. They can't plan ahead. Their companies, that's the saddest thing about the West is instant gratification. You can't plan. The Chinese can say, well, we'll do a Belt and Road, and we'll invest now and we'll get later. They can't do that. They can't do that because they have dug a hole where they can't do. Yeah, anyway. Let's see. So, no Jodas. 500 mile per gallon Negro. That's the kind of Negro that our Negro, hey, 500 mile per gallon Negro. That is a useful Negro. I'm telling you. No. We have here, this is a re-engineered Negro. This is not the Negro like that have all them big 500 cubic inch engines with 4-barrel carburetors. The new Negro, the re-engineered Negro, has a little small, well, they don't use carburetors no more, whatever it is, but it just got little jets on it that spray little bits, but it consumes it just right. Yeah, so you get 500 miles per gallon per Negro. Yeah, like we are. We're long range Negroes, and we don't burn up nothing. Even like I said, right now, uh, we don't have no money. Nobody's sweating it. We're gonna raise a little money tomorrow, God willing. We'll raise a little money next, but we're not gonna. It ain't you. When you look, you wouldn't know that it's time to pay taxes. That's $8,000 or $9,000, $2,000 a month. Nobody live in anything. We're gonna refurbish those. We're gonna build those up. Yeah, it's different. Well, why don't we feel something? Because we already know it's gonna happen with Allah's help. Yeah, that's different. The re-engineered Negro, global Negro, one size fits all. hmm This nigga come in the pill form, gel form, or lotion, all kind of ways. It don't make. No, you can rub this nigga on you. You know, you can drop a pill, right? Bubble bath Negro, yes indeed. This is all-purpose Negro. This Negro is necessary to deal with the things. This cannot be an emotional. I'm a mad Negro. I'm gonna fix you, Negro. Can't be that. No, this is the nicest Negro you ever seen. Yes, and we talked about the old master before. Years ago, we talked about the old master. The old master don't go through all them changes. He just moves just enough for the thing to hit you, and he don't get all psyched up and tired and running around. Okay, old master. Okay, we won't talk about that right now. But they attacked us to see where we'd go. They attack us on the money to see who we call about it and all of that stuff. Uh, no problem. We have here, we're being worn up, not worn down. They wear people down. They wear them out. They get them tired. I don't know. We've been worn up. So I'll move toward a close, but we've whipped the whole crew. They got whole crews of Negroes. We whipped them all, whether it's the New York crew, whether it's the D.C. crew, whether it's the Oakland crew, whether it's the Berkeley crew. We've actually whipped them all, every last one of them. And we're not mad about it. We're not arrogant about it. Psycho discombobulating, we've done that. Yeah, we do that. And we're going to, it says here, we're going to teach counter psycho discombobulating as a process. It's a process to do this stuff we do. And we're going to teach everybody else how to do it. It's going to be fun just to teach the class. Yes, it is. You'll be laughing. Everybody going to be laughing and rolling. They're going to say, you ain't going to do that. I said, no, I'm not going to. You are going to do that. I have already done that. And they're going to this is going to be the funnest class you ever been a part of. Humanism with Islamic Negro American characteristics. This is very important. Humanism with Islamic Negro American characteristics. If you take any one of them out of it, it won't be, well, what's so important about America? Well, we're from here, and so far, we haven't been doing too bad. So far, we haven't been doing too bad. We have to have learned something. Okay, we don't want to overdo it. We've read this before, but we've trapped the pro-Zionist Negroes in the headlights of history. Can you imagine the niggas standing there, nice niggas too. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. They just like, you know how bright the eye is when you're out there on the highway, and you look up and there's that animal, and they just trapped. They get paralyzed. The lights hypnotize them. They look at them lights. They hypnotize them. Don't make them run. That's why you got to miss them, because they're going to be paralyzed. That's why cars be dented all up. Man, I've been out on the highway, and I look up, there them big old light eyes, and alhamdulillah, so far so good. Because way out in the woods, you use a bright light so you can see a long way ahead of time. Yeah. Anyway, trap the pro-Zionist Negroes, they out there and it's pitch black and they got these big old buck-eyed, bubble-eyed Negroes. I tell you, it's just something. Okay. I'll just go over what we want to do for let's see. So maybe tomorrow, would you be able to do khutbah tomorrow? Okay, if we don't get nobody else, we'll go over to what's the name? To the Negro place. And it looks like that that week before last might have been just a trial, that freezing cold. Hey man, it's February now, and this is modern February, not them old time Februarys used to freeze you to death. Man, February is the coldest month, and this is 60 degrees. I don't know what it's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be at least, hey man, the night it's so nice I don't even like it because it's not normal. I was telling my daughter, I say, my body loves this weather, but my mind, I don't like this, And I go out and I start off with a little walk and run, and I get to me a nice place and I pop up a seat and just sit down for hours, just sitting in the woods. That's what time it is. Yeah, Allah gonna help us with everything. This is a wonderful period for us historically. Like I say, the taxes came in yesterday and they'll be around $9,000. Oakland about 25 grand, somewhere like that. I don't know what it'll be, but I ain't worried about it. Anyway, just for right now, a couple of thousand a month is what it costs, to keep all the heat and everything on all over. So, inshallah, we'll take care of it. We do need to get a few more people. So if you can make an announcement tomorrow that because I see a few people come. The brother used to come that cooks. He used to come where he could go out every now and then. Right. Well, the idea is still the same. That during Ramadan, every night we'll eat as soon as we can and we'll go out, pass out flyers, and wherever we go on Eid, the people will know we're coming. I think we're going to talk to the people at some of the places too and, tell them, hey, give them a brief rundown on what we've been dealing with. And just tell them, hey, just hook us up and we'll do the rest. We'll do our part. And it's easy for us. And it's not easy for them. I already know it ain't easy for them. They don't want to do it, and we want to do it. Okay, are there any questions or comments?
Do you think racism will ever leave the hearts of the people in Islam?
Do we think racism
Yeah, it's going to leave the hearts of the people in Islam.
leave the hearts of the people in Islam? Okay.
That was said because people in Islam are racist.
Yeah, that's okay, but you got to remember, uh, not only people are racist, but there's been people that have spoke here. For instance, like Pakistanis, they'll tell you how important light-skinned women are, Indian women are. It's part of their culture. The lighter, the better. Guess what? It's part of Iranian culture. And this don't go back a couple hundred years like here. Aryans, lighter, like Iran. Dravidians, darker. That's part of the religion. There are groups, Arya Samaj, okay. Every group has some of that. And since the last few hundred years, during the period of white supremacy, it's increased. But they had it already. They already had lighter, brighter, and you think you want to go, you like bleaching cream, you go to Africa. Drum, lighten and brighten your day. They used more bleaching cream in Africa than we did over here. Yeah, okay. But racism, uh, it varies from person to person, group to group, and sometimes it's generational. When I was spending time in Iran, the brother said, I mean, I had really worked hard. I mean, that they were students here, and they would have me on the road all the time. I wanted to be on the road, so they said, Imam Musa, Malik Salam, you're here, and you got no excuse now. We want to get you married. You've been by yourself, because they would see you've been by yourself all this time. I said, some of y'all about said, yeah, but we here now. We married. We getting married. So they said, this is about 89. I said, oh, okay, I'll give it a shot, see what's up. So they really worked to get me married, but I was not, I was all right with it, but I didn't, yeah, I have to change my program. You have to treat people accordingly. They have rights, right? Okay. So, long story short, I went down. Finally, one of the brothers. I mean, if you think they have interviews here, they have interview after interview. I mean, I said, man, I don't think, wouldn't nobody be married in the U.S. if they have to do as many interviews as y'all have? Interview after interview after interview. So we went through the changes. Then he said, I know somebody would be just right. So he said, she lives down in Bandar Abbas. So we get in the car and we travel to Bandar Abbas. That's a long way down there. And the house I stay in is her family's house, but all of them leave except her brother, a younger brother. He took me everywhere, and he was like what you call a frog man here. He was Revolutionary Guards on the water, and I mean, they was for this. I mean, this was not. So guess what? Finally, he said, "This is the perfect lady for you." I said, "Well," I said, "How do you know?" He says, "Well, I was going to marry her, but she was too old for me." At that time, he was 35. You know, been over his PhD and all that, so he's 35. Then she was 28 or something, and that was too old. I mean, all the stuff, you know. And she had a sister that married a foreigner, a German. The father allowed her to marry the German. It's white, of course, most people do. So, you don't know it, but Bandar Abbas to me seemed like Dar es Salaam on the Indian Ocean. I mean, it's down in the Persian Gulf, palm trees, hot, you know what I mean, and all that stuff. So anyway, I went down there, and so you know them stained glass windows. Sometimes I could look at a stained glass window and I could see some eyes watching me. You know, I was thinking, no, that was probably her sister, because I thought I saw a woman. You know what I mean? And it's, you know. So when I talked to the father, I talked to him about business because their father was the richest guy in Bandar Abbas, a rich family. Okay, so, and they thought, well, they let the other daughter marry a German, so everything is perfect. Now at this time, everybody is pushing for it. Everybody is pushing for it. So when I meet the father, I'm talking business because he's a big businessman. So he will know that I know how to take care of his daughter, you know, and how I think ahead, plan ahead. I'll do all this stuff in business. And finally, everybody, I mean, the brother was taking me around everywhere. And all of a sudden he said, "Oh, just take it easy. We're going to make this work. We're going to get," and they took me to the island. They have the Sunni island and the Shia island. Well, I was going to see the Shia island because most of the people in that area are Sunnis. You can tell because there's mosques everywhere. Shias have a few mosques, and Sunnis have, and the Shia brothers that was taking me around, they was almost laughing. He said, "Man, you know, in this town we got 4,000 masajid." And then I would go out when I'd run in the morning. I remember one morning looked like a 10-year-old kid. The fishermen would take their boats and take them on them big carts with bicycle wheels. They would push them out in the water, and then they would get on them, and the kids would pull them back. One little kid's about 10 years old. I was running down the beach, and I could see what he was trying to pull the thing, so he called me, and he didn't know I was an American, because he was black, I was black. It used to be almost all black, but then some of the Iranian guys started moving down to the coastal area. But anyway, so And now they got the big Shia Alam. Because I don't know exactly what's going on, but everybody, no, it'll be all right. We're pushing for this. This is the brother, And they questioning me, and after they get to know you, and so, I didn't want everybody's heart right away, except the father. And I didn't get married, but the father said I couldn't. If I gave my daughter to a black guy, everybody would wonder what's wrong with her. But he was older. All the young people, now you got to remember. So now what I'm talking about is racism and colors. And that same year, I was in Pakistan. I left Iran and went to Pakistan. All the little guys squatting down, sweeping the street with them brooms that they make, right, was blacker, probably from them old caste systems they had, They were blacker. Most of the leadership was lighter. Okay. Here, in marriage, if the brothers will tell you right here, the Pakistani brothers, they'll tell you. I mean, the ones that are friends, they come, they're speakers on different platforms. It's true here, it's true in South Africa, where most of the people are Indo-Pakistan, Indian Muslims. It's true there too. If you're white, you're all right. If you're yellow, you're mellow. If you're brown, stick around. But if you're black, get back. That's a worldwide phenomenon. It don't have nothing to do with Muslims or non-Muslims. It is a phenomenon. 200 years now, Chinese will be beautiful. Do you notice? No, just think about it. Remember the Chinese and the Korean, when I was growing up, where you felt sorry for them, a brother, a Negro would marry one in Korea or whatever and bring them back here, right? Okay, they're beautiful now. They look better. Why? Because the people have more money now. Tell the truth. You see more Chinese women in movies, Chinese, and Bruce Lee didn't like it neither. You don't have a Chinaman's chance. He was a nationalist. If you notice, all the actors, all Jet Li and them and them other guys, wasn't they all nationalists? They hated to see the British running around in Hong Kong. We'll just do this to you. They hated them. But the people was white orientated. If you look on Chinese media, the Chinese women, if they have some of the stations, like Bloomberg and them, they have mixed, have Chinese women, which they get more. The Chinese stations have more Chinese, Chinamans, China women. This is a phenomena of the last hundreds of years. Because even in the Islamic world, the Ottoman rule was for about 500 years. What do Ottomans look like? What do Turks look like? Huh? Yeah, okay. Iranians, you think of the three empires, the three ruling empires, the Mughal Empire in India, right? The Safavid dynasty in Iran, right? And what's the name there? And, so you got two of them that are light. Some Turks, you can't tell whether they're white or what. They're just white. You got Turks. If you look at Imam Khomeini, just looking at him, would you think he was an Arab or would you think he was white? If you look at him, you would think he was white. I mean, right? Yeah, he's technically, he's white. But he wears a black turban. That means his family origin goes back to Arab, right? If you look at the Rahbar right now, of course he's Turkish. He's Turkish, but what does he look like? Okay, the standard of beauty in Iran right now. You see those beautiful women with black hair and all that in those ancient Persian paintings? Yeah. But the ones they want to marry are lighter, red-headed looking, the northerners up there, the Turkish looking. Anyway, why sweat it? Hey, there's nothing you can do about that. Those things, they caught people, don't you worry, you stick around. Several hundred years ago, or 1,000 years ago, the blacker you were, the better. The more African, the more Egyptian. That's when Egypt, they got little statues of soldiers like civilization didn't go up the Nile, it came down the Nile. I don't know if I ever showed you any of those pictures of Sudan, and they got all these pyramids, but the pyramids are smaller, but the hieroglyphics is almost the same. Okay. Terracotta, so that might be Chinese, but they're terracotta like soldiers. You see them in the museums there. Some are blackish tar and others are brown. In the last generation, see, like back in the old days, white was more like uncivilized. They just wearing old bare clothes from up in Europe. Right? You smelt bad. You didn't bathe. They were not a standard of beauty. Just go back a little bit. They were like cave people. That's what people thought. They were uncivilized. Like the lambs say, EU mean caves and hillsides, and rope is the rope to bind in. So I never told y'all the real history. A half original man and prophet named Moses. He had to go up there. I tell you, this is brief. The people that lived in the Holy Land, it was so nice. But the people in West Asia, which they called Europe, was smelling so bad that the wind was blowing 2,200 miles all into the Holy Land, smelling up the place. So they had to send a half original man and prophet, he's half original, and prophet named Moses. And when he went into the caves, he couldn't, it's just too filthy and all that. So he grafted, you've heard this before, a rat, a cat, and a dog, and made this animal that would go in there and eat up all the filth, because he couldn't go in there and civilize the white folks. And that hangs on now, so if you look in their history, they'll tell you the Greeks are this and that. But when the Africans was coming up, the Greeks was just still young. Leo Africanus and them went down, and all of their knowledge come out of Africa. So the cycle of beauty in the last 100 years, 200 years, have been lighter. That's just the cycle. You think 2,500 years ago in China, 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, lightness was, or white was a thing of beauty? No, it was a sign of civilization. The China was built a wall to keep them people out. Them people that they think are pretty now, they built a wall to keep them out. So what I'm saying is we have to have patience. People are affected. The reason I told you about Iran was because the young people were revolutionary. They were not affected by that. But the father was old and he was rich and he was thinking, what would they think of me and my daughter if I gave them to a Negro? Why? He's in a town full of Negroes. Bandar Abbas. Yeah, it looks like Africa. So I'm thinking, it's Africans. It's Bandar Abbas. You know, you can, okay, anyway. I hope that answers some of the question. We have to be patient with this because there's all kind of peculiarities. Example. Now, what looking Negroes do white girls like? Do they like high yellow niggas with curly hair? Do they? No, absolutely not. What do they like? Right here. They like darkies. If I wanted white girls, I could have filled up. I could go even now, 100 years old. I could get. They're everywhere. They let you know. Yeah, okay, I'm down with that. You know. Yeah, when they broke the color bar, they the ones broke the color bar. We wasn't the ones breaking the color bar because we'd get strung up chasing them down the street. They have been, you know, oh yeah, and they don't like no curly-headed, yellow-looking person. They ain't down with that. They down with real, the blacker the better, because they want black people. They don't want the, you know, they trip off like niggas trip off white girls. They trip off black niggas. They trip off her. That's their trip. So you don't have to worry. All of that, just stick around 100, 200 years. Don't worry about America. Just go to California. California looks different. I mean, everybody's there. Hawaiians at the coast, everybody. The people, you could tell when you get in California. The people, I'll close in a minute. When you come across the Mojave Desert and you can come one way, where you go through some more mountains, and Tehachapi is a prison in California, foothills kind of thing. Okay, when you come out of the desert, when you hit that area, they got a prison there, and the first stop you make, a lot of the people are coming to visit the prison. So when you stop, you see all kind of people. I'll tell you what, that's why all the people in Oakland, that's why it was mixed people, you know, and stuff like that. They were all mixed, and Halle Berry was mixed, and the people that the black nigga that started liking her was double black, and he liked her because she was, you know, that regular old stuff, you know, and but California is. DC is getting like that, but it's still out there. That's where everybody went. You know what I mean? California, Hollywood. It don't look like, and integration, it looks different. The people look different. They are a lighter, curlier, they're mongrelized. I know white folks say it's bad to be, you're gonna raise a race of mongrels. And there's three things you can't Give a nigga a black eye, a fat lip, and a job. That's the Klan. That's what they say. No, you can't give a nigga. You can't give a nigga a fat lip, a black eye, or a job. Boy, white folks are very, very mean. You can't get that's something. And niggas is the hardest working people down in Dixie. Good God Almighty! Like you see a picture of a sleepy Mexican under a palm tree, snooze is going out with a big sombrero. You ever see a Mexican doing that? They working so hard that you can't keep up with them. It's just how mean people are. But to the point, the people that all that stuff is changing. When we were young, the people had a picture of Chinese, Koreans, especially Koreans and all of those people. And now they have a higher stature. But they were people, they were considered lower class. They were just like people you felt sorry for. All the newsreels, they don't have newsreels much now, but you saw them sticks and with the women carrying them with the sandpan hats. All the newsreels was like that. So you know, if a black would, and a couple of whites would marry a few Korean women, and they would bring them back. That's so we were the first ones to bring them back, and you know, and yeah. Anyway, those things are changing, and this, okay. If niggas do their own work, if we do our job, we won't have to worry about color. You won't have to worry about color, because if you carry yourself a certain way, you transcend color. In fact, everywhere I used to speak, 80% of my speeches was amongst foreigners, foreign students, foreign Masjid, you know, da 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 da. And I never had any problems. Here, uh, they tried to get me hooked up with a couple of Iranians, even when they brought everybody by. You know them Indian women with long hair all the way down here? They would bring them, their brothers would bring them by the Masjid. Oh, this is my sister, you know, and this is when I'm young, you know. And Iranian ladies would, as got older, uh, the way it would go is, uh, my son is 19 now, and I'm not married anymore, and da 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 da, and looked reasonable. And I mean, they come give you your card. Oh, you were talking about a new world and environment. Uh, I'm an environmental scientist. Here's my card. And so one of the Negroes said, they probably sent that, I'm selling him, they probably sent this girl to me that, because if you come to Denver, just da 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 da. He said, it don't sound like, he said, it sounds like she's hitting on you. You know, because it's the same story. I'm free now. I'm not married anymore. My son is in the university, and I'm Professor, Miss Professor so-and-so. That technically don't look too bad, I tell you. So, but everybody feels that the Negro is impressed with everybody else, you know. And to tell you the truth, most of them are. They would be honored to marry anybody but another black person, right? That's the way I mean, you know. But anyway, uh, so whatever the question was, No, we have to be patient with the people. The way it still is right now. It's not. We have to demand in a demanding way our respect, but there has to be a level of that in there. It has to be. They didn't try to trap me. I remember Muhammad Al-Asi was saying, well, what's happening with Sister So-and-so? They was always bringing her around. They was trying to trap me over there. In South Africa. Sister Bahia was in it too. Yeah, because if I would give lectures, I say, yeah, them little yellow cutie pies. Well, I was just giving what this is a standard. I don't know if I've showed you. I got pictures of some of the women I was with was this color. I don't know if y'all seen them. Some of them were this color. But I have other ones that was yellow and, some of them you could see through their skin and see through their, but that wasn't like, this is who I got to be with. But that's what they think. They think that. Muhammad Al-Asi and all of them, they tried to trap me 2 or 3 times with women over there. Yeah. So the subject come up. So what's with Sister So-and-so, Imam Musa? I said, well, I don't know. I said, her slave name is Maria such and such, so she's half white. Her sister's half white. You know, half white and Indian, that would be considered a perfect combo, right? For a Negro, shoot, that's, hey, and healthy too, like, what colored people are accustomed to. All of that. They do that because they think niggas, this is where the niggas are gonna go. They don't know what to do when the Negro just look at everybody and keep right on rolling. They say, what's wrong with that nigga? Because if we throw this bait out on any nigga, he's gonna snap at it. You gotta make him respect you. We're not, just like we do the white man, we do the other Muslims like that. We ain't biting at nothing. Oh no. No, them other niggas you can run them around with yellow folks, Indian folks. But no, that's the way you get respect. They've had intrigue after intrigue right around here with dropping Iranian women by, or and like I say, Sister Bahia and them would be in it because they think too. This is a dark nigga. He got to like all the other. Remember, they're school days niggas. They school days. And like you have to go see school days to see how deep it is in them. And they're from that generation. The generation now is a little better, but that generation, them niggas in their 50s and now in their 60s, they were like color struck, man, hair struck. They just like, and they don't, even now, they still don't believe it. Why? Round nose, round lips, round futures, not pointed. They have pointed, them niggas got pointed. I'm not against them, but they don't believe that a dark nigga got any intelligence. They don't believe it. And if he do, you could send any yellow woman around and he'll lose his cool. Impossible. Why do you think I stayed celibate so long in Oakland? They're stupid. They ain't got not a single Negro in the United States that at the height of their physical stuff, between the late 30s and early 50s, that's when, and running the hills, that's when you juiced up. They ain't had nobody. I haven't seen nobody. They'd have 1 wife or 2 wives or 3 wives, and the way they would trap a Negro here, bring some tenders from over at Howard, pop them in the Masjid, and them niggas, first the Imam would get about 2 of them for himself. And if there's any left, that's what they did. That's what they did here in D.C. That's the style. That's what they did in New York. That's what they did. That's what they did. I could almost say that's what they do. But all I can say is they was little. And they thought everybody was little like them. They thought everybody was little. Did a little bit of whatever they call them, vaginas and stuff, would send them. I mean, I'm going to close with this. I'm telling the truth. I would go running in the hills, and we used to go a loop one time. The loop is the shortest trail, about 4 or 5 miles. So I'd run down, go through the cow pasture and everything, and coming back, a guy run by me with a woman. And the man looked like a police, short crop, and about 40 years old, 30-something, late 30s. And they come by. This was a tender white girl. They must have. So the white girl ran up in front of me and stopped and crossed her leg like this and bent over right in front of me. I could see up here. I said, boy, that's the nicest looking vagina I ever seen in my life. They must have had a vagina viewing contest because that was, that was nice. So yeah, that's all right. And I just kept running. But they do that. They do that. It had no effect on me at all. But any other niggas would be zizzling around. They would send, man, the white women that they would flood at the Masjid, and the half white women, and the all kind of white people be calling you on the phone, especially the later at night, because they figure that's when you're at the lower threshold. Oh, Imam Musa, da, 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 da. So my son, he'd be like, he was 16. I look like Imani. That's a model from Ethiopia somewhere. Imam Musa, I would just like to tell you about my vagina. I said, sister, you can't call there telling me about your vagina. So my son said, Dad, give me the phone and let her tell me. So I popped him upside the head, But anyway, it's ridiculous. Hey, man, if I could tell you the times, and I'll close. When I first got out of the penitentiary, and I was at the Masjid, and then here comes somebody. Imam used to be up here in Midwest. Okay, anyway, don't worry about a thing. Okay, so we'll, what time is Juma over there?
The first one is at 12:15.
It starts at 12:15.
It starts at 12:15. The robot's going to start at 12:15.
Okay. Well, we could be over there and be set up if we go at 12, at either 12 or 11:45.
So inshallah, we'll aim to be here at 11:45.
11:45 would be fine.
I'll probably be here around 11:15. I'll give him a ring on my way back.
Okay, so we'll take the speaker and we'll take the stuff, and you got the masjid. Okay, good. That's fine. Yeah, but believe it, dear believers. If you want to grow and develop, be a part of the Islamic movement. They gonna test you so much, you'll grow in a hurry. You have to, because it's the only way to go. And they count on them traps. They count on the hadith. The greatest test they left behind for men was somebody, you know who it is, right? And it's true. It's true. And they still do it. I tell them, look, I'm 100 years old. I ain't even, I just think about management and leadership stuff, Yeah,